I was afraid. I was so skinny, so unhealthy. I felt like people think I'm just nasty, that I'm just a prostitute, that no one cares about me.
Leah Rogers was a victim of sex trafficking.
I did try to escape several times, and I never could get away. And the abuse, the hits, became harder and harder to a point where I blacked out a couple times with the hits. And then that's when I just knew. I said, I can't protect myself. I can't fight him.
Leah had been an easy target. Born out of wedlock, she grew up with her drug-addicted mother. The only father figures she knew were the men in her mother's life, who at times beat and molested Leah.
So that's what I thought, love was. That's what I thought attention from a man was. It was normal to me.
Leah was 13 when Child Protective Services put her into a group home where she spent 5 troubled years. By the time she aged out at 18, she had a 1-year-old daughter. With no money and nowhere to turn, she took a job as an exotic dancer.
The only thing that I knew is that guys liked me for one thing, and that was my body. I was like, hey, guys have touched me my whole life. What's the big deal?
For the next 6 years, she made her living as a stripper. One night, she met a man at the club she thought was her Prince Charming.
Honestly, he was so sweet. He would shower me with gifts. He knew how to say all the right things. He always made me feel wanted.
But after a few dates, he became possessive and eventually took her phone and IDs. When Leah resisted, he exploded.
Started hitting me several times in my face, where both my eyes were so swollen and black that I couldn't even see out of them. And pulled out all my hair, like skin bald. He started to burn me with cigarettes all down my arms and my legs. He made me feel like if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't get beat. If you just listened, then you wouldn't get hit.
After months of brainwashing and abuse, Leah gave up fighting. He branded her with a tattoo as his property and forced her into prostitution, something he had planned all along.
He would tell me, if you leave me, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna kill you. If I can't find you, I'm gonna kill your mother.
To protect her daughter and her mother, who was now clean and a Christian, Leah stayed. She sent her daughter to live with her brother. For the next 3 years, her captor dragged her across the Southwest, while at the same time recruiting other girls. Then Leah became pregnant with his son, and his grip tightened.
But the abuse continued after that. And he was still making me work. I felt like I was trapped. There was no way out. 2 weeks after I had my son, he took him to his mom's house. I wasn't allowed to see my son unless it was with supervision. Wasn't allowed to take him nowhere. And he would use that against me.
Then in 2011, one of Leah's Johns pulled a gun and threatened to kill her. She convinced him to let her live, but the trauma left her more desperate for escape. Leah cried out to a God she barely knew.
I'm like, God, if you're real, please help me. Please help me. Like, just crying. I said, I don't know how to escape. I don't know how to leave. But I need your help. Save me. Save me.
2 weeks later, Leah was with her pimp as he was trying to recruit 2 girls. They turned out to be undercover cops and took both of them into custody. Afraid of what might happen to her son, Leah said nothing in her defense. As a result, she was charged with 21 felonies, the same as the trafficker who had been holding her hostage.
I was just screaming and crying. I was mad at God.
But while awaiting trial in jail, Leah continued talking to God and began reading the Bible and attending chapel.
I started to wake up early in the morning, like at 5 in the morning, before the whole dorm woke up. And I started to pray and sing aloud. The feeling that I had when I talked to him, when I read the word, like it was something that no one's ever gave me. The love that I felt from God was a love that I felt from no human being to this day.
Leah had been in jail for 6 months when she gave her life to Christ.
All the hurt, all the anger, all the pain, all the scars, all the suffering was his. I started to trust him. I knew that whatever happened, he knew what was best for me, and he was protecting me. He was my father, and he loved me. And I believed that with all my heart.
Still concerned for her son, Leah kept silent and signed a plea deal for a 7-year sentence. Then a week later, she received a postcard. It was from her trafficker's family, and on the back was written, "I have your son." She called her mother, who went immediately to pick him up. Once he was safe, Leah showed the postcard to her lawyer and agreed to testify. Using the postcard as evidence, her lawyer appealed her case, and the judge dropped all charges.
My lawyer came up to me and he said, "Are you ready to go home?" And I just started crying. Only God, after you sign a plea for 7 years, can make the judge turn his heart around and say, no, we're giving this girl a chance. You know, that had to be him.
After completing a court-ordered rehabilitation program, Leah was reunited with her children. Today, she's an educator with the Sex Trafficking Institute and runs the Help Her Stand Foundation, an organization that counsels and advocates for sex trafficking victims.
That means everything, because it means what I went through was not in vain. It's a purpose behind my story. Now I'm free. Now I can talk and I can tell my story, and I'm not scared because I have someone that's going to protect me that's better than any human, which is God.